Hi, I'm Daniel with eTrailer, and today we're going to be taking a look at, I'm going to show you how to install the Firestone Coil-Rite air helper springs on your 2024 Jeep Gladiator. If you're somebody who's going to be using your Gladiator to haul some heavy loads in your bed, then you're definitely going to want to check out some airbags for your rear suspension. It's definitely going to help with leveling out your load when you have that in the bed of your truck, and doing so, it will have your front tires more firmly on the ground, which will help drivability, braking, and prolong the life of your tires. These airbags fit right inside your existing springs on your suspension here, and they're made out of a really strong polyurethane material that'll definitely last the test of time here. Low maintenance, but you do have to make sure that these will stay at 5 psi just so they don't get damaged. They do have a maximum PSI of 60, which can support up to a load of 1,000 pounds in your bed. Always be sure to check your owner's manual and check your payload capacity in your vehicle to make sure you're carrying what your vehicle can handle. Now we're at the rear of the vehicle, and this is the inflation valve. It also comes with this nice bracket, and it does have 2 inlets, but our neighbor today opted to get a T-fitting connector, so both lines are running into each other and one line's running out to the back, so this will fill both at the same time. Now, you don't have to use this bracket. A lot of people sometimes use like dead space in the vehicle, and they'll drill a hole and get this tied up here. So if you decide to get these airbags for your rear suspension on your Jeep Gladiator, please let us know what you're using them for, whether you're using them for a trailer or you're having a heavy load in your bed. Now, as far as the installation goes, it is very simple. The only hard thing is to get those airbags compressed fully and shoved into your existing springs. Now, it may be too difficult, so you may actually have to remove the springs to get them in there. But if that's something that's too difficult, or you don't have the time or tools to do it yourself, please feel free to check out our dealer locator, and we can find a professional in your area to do it for you. But without further ado, let's get into the installation. First off, you're going to want to drop down your spare tire. It's going to make it easier to get back to your springs here. I've already removed that. But now you're going to want to remove your heat shield as well. I'm going to take a 10mm socket and get these 2 screws out. And then on the back side, there's going to be, I believe, 3 more. We did get a pull jack up here so we could raise the bed from our springs just to make this next step a little easier. But if you are doing it at home on the ground, you can use just a normal jack and get the same result. I'm going to remove the valve cap on our airbag, and it comes with the kit, this little tool, so you can pull this valve core out. I'm just going to just put this on the ground, just use my own body weight, and I'm going to try and get this as flat as possible and get all the air out. And once I get it as flat as possible, I'm just going to put this cap back on so it can stay flat. The instructions do say to feed the bag in here before you put the upper and lower supports in, but it's going to be easier if you do this step now, just because you can have access to everything without that being in your way. And if you do notice, there is a bigger portion and a smaller portion, and so that bigger portion it's going to be facing outward on this specific spring. It's just meant to stay flat in the spring where this in part is going to be touching. So now I'm going to get our upper one. So the part where it comes in at is going to be facing up. So I'm going to get this up in here as well. And I'm actually going to zip tie this up out of our way while we're dealing with the spring. Now I'm going to go ahead and feed our bag in. In the instructions, this is going to be a little difficult, but you can use a blunt tool like the end of a screwdriver just to kind of push it where you need it. But don't use the other end or any sharp tools because that can damage it. But I'm going to go ahead and get this pushed in and fed down. So with this put in your spring, you can now remove the cap, and that will let air back into the bag. Now ours is kind of tight today, so I'm going to persuade it to its position so it can fill up fully. And once I do that, I'm going to go and repeat this same process on the other side. Now I'm going to go ahead and pick a place to put our bracket for our airline. So I'm actually just going to put it on the cross tube of the hitch here, just because our neighbor today didn't want to drill any holes, but sometimes you can put it maybe on the license plate, one of the license plate holes. But yeah, we're just going to do this for today. It does come with this bracket, which is nice. I'm going to go and zip tie this tight. Now you're going to want some airline tubing cutters, or you could use a sharp utility knife for this step. But you're going to want a nice clean cut. So this is factory, so I am just going to give it a snip. You're going to want to make sure that's even and there's no burrs or anything. Mine's a little bit uneven. So that's looking a lot better. So now I'm going to get our fitting. I'm going to push that tightly on, and I'm going to screw this onto one of our airbags. I went ahead and ran our lines here. I went ahead and put them up through the top of these springs and screwed them on. I just had this held out of my way while I screwed these on, and that comes down, sits on there. And then these are all zip tied with the harness. And our neighbor today did upgrade to, he bought a Union T. That allows basically 2 lines to come in with this one coming out. So you just have 1 filling line instead of 2. If we didn't have this, we would just run from the other bag to the rear of the vehicle as well as this side. Then I ran our fill line out, and make sure you're going to run that so it doesn't interfere with the spare tire or any moving parts. And do give it a little slack in your system in case you want to add a compressor later, or if you want to move this anywhere. Grab your fill valve. You're going to want to put a washer on top of that. Put that through your bracket, washer, and then your nut. 12-inch wrench and socket, and just snug this up. You don't want to make this too tight. Just snug it up. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut this. Make sure it's straight. Get this connected on the back. I'm going to go ahead and put air into the system so I can test my airlines, see if they're leaking or not. So now I'm going to take some soapy water and just spray all of our fittings and see if there's any large bubbles forming. Small bubbles is alright, but if there's any big bubbles that are constantly forming, that's when you want to pull your line out, recut it, check for any burrs, see if it's at an angle, and re-put it back in and retest. But we're looking good on this fitting. Once you've determined that your airbags aren't leaking, you can go ahead and put your heat shield back on and your spare tire, and you're good to go. That was a look at the Firestone air helper springs on your 2024 Jeep Gladiator. I'm Daniel, thanks for watching.